So I will admit, seeing this episode, it was hilarious to me. Just to see, our main character pretty much, we see him sleep with everyone in this episode. The first person, which was funny to me, was this. He slept with this droid, after he even told himself like, oh, these droids are. He pretty much described these droids as succubus, like they lure men and they use men for their nutrition. And then it was funny that right after he said that, he spent like the next 5 hours with the droid. You can guess what they were doing, but I found that part hilarious. That they would even show like him sleeping with, I guess, other races. Not that he's an ogre. And then it was also funny at the end of the episode too, where he basically sleeps with all the human girls that are stationed in his village. And he also sleeps with the female the female goblin that is always the archer, pretty much. So I thought that was funny to see at the end of the video that they'll pretty much like have this big, I guess, orgy, you call it. Very unexpected the way that this show would go. But I mean, I'm not complaining about it. I thought it was, pretty funny. After all the things he said about the dryad, he still, he had to follow his male instinct. So that's, unavoidable too in those situations. And towards the end, so yeah, I just found it, very funny that, like I said in this episode, we see him like sleep with everyone now that he's an ogre. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I think this episode was a pretty cool episode. I mean, we can kind of, my concern is that I feel like him, our main character, and his closest group, well, especially him, I feel like they'll get to a point. I feel like he'll get to a point of leveling where he's like, okay guys, maybe it's time for me to leave the nest, because it's also interested in like learning more about humans. So it would make sense if like once he gets high enough level as an ogre, it would make sense for him to say like, okay, you guys know what, you guys stay here and like just vote on a new leader, while I'll take my closest I guess people, and they'll go into town with me, and that way I can learn more about human knowledge. That was kind of the impression I got from today's episode. And one little thing, so we saw the our main character's goblin friend. We seem like we kind of see him have this trouble with his stomach, and we see in the poster that he evolves into an ogre like our main character. And honestly, it didn't make sense, because we know that our main character, the reason he was able to evolve was because he was reincarnated. So that gave him, the option to evolve or not. Meanwhile, the other goblins, they're actually born that way. So, I don't know if they can evolve necessarily. That'd be something, maybe for them it takes longer, and we just don't know. But what I think is gonna happen is that there's gonna come a time and point where he's gonna get ready to evolve into the red ogre, and one of the requirements to become to evolve into an ogre is that one, he has to be, certain level, which he has, but then he is, one of the requirements is gonna need the help of like an outsider, like for them to give you access to help you evolve, I guess. So I'm guessing that's where our main character comes in and says, I'll help you so you can finally evolve like me, and we could both be evolved instead of just me. So my first question is, I wonder how long it will be until he evolves, because we did not see him evolve in this episode, though we did see like signs that he was kind of getting, like we saw him during that speech or something. He said, his stomach hurts, or he was acting very suspicious. So I think it won't be long until we see him evolve into that red ogre. But either way, I think it was a pretty funny episode. I mean, with our main character pretty much sleeping with everyone in this episode, the dryads and the human girls in his village, the alchemist, the two cooks, the short-haired girl. We just see him like sleep with all the human girls. So I do wonder, because the episode did end on that night, so I do wonder if it's gonna like be awkward next episode, like after the deed the next morning. And my other concern is that if I'm right, like if somewhere in the future our main character does decide to leave the village, like will he take the human girl with him as like traveling companions, or will he leave them so they could I guess help develop the village even more? But in all honestly, I think when our main character does leave the village, he'll take the human villagers with him, because he did say in the beginning of the episode, he did say that red-haired girl, he did say that, I promise you one day you will all be able to go back to your human villages once again. So I feel like that's gonna happen eventually when we see our main character leave the village. I do wonder if it's gonna happen next. To me, that's only like a matter of like when's it gonna happen next episode, or to me it's just a matter of time, because it will happen. He will get the idea of like, oh, maybe I've outgrown this place, maybe it's time for me to go into these human villages and finally get these real knowledge about humans, human knowledge. So I feel like that will definitely cross his mind. But again, to me it's only a matter of time until that happens. But I mean, yeah, overall, this was a pretty funny episode. Really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for next week's episode and see what that has in store for us. But either way, I think I'm just gonna end it here. Please leave a like, subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.